General Hospital spoilers reveal that Natalia sat frozen on the chair, her eyes fixed on Blaze's ring lying on the table. The light in the room reflected off the shiny metal surface, but instead of its usual beauty, it gave her a cold, chilling feeling. Her heart pounded in her chest as she realized its true meaning. This was not an item accidentally left behind, this was a warning. A subtle message from Sidwell, reminding her that he wasn't just watching her, but that he could target anyone she cared about. Over the past few days, Sidwell had cornered Natalia with threats. He wanted her to carry out a mission to take down Sonny, and he was willing to use any means necessary to achieve his goal. At first, he had used words to pressure her, warning her about the secret she was trying to hide. But now, the situation had changed. He had moved from threats to real action, making Natalia understand that if she didn't comply with his demands, those around her would pay the price. She shakily picked up the ring, her fingers gliding over the familiar surface. Blaze had never taken it off, unless there was a special reason. So why was it here? What did this mean? Natalia closed her eyes, trying to calm herself, but a series of panicked thoughts raced through her mind. Was Blaze in danger? Had Sidwell touched her? She didn't dare think about the worst, but the presence of the ring was a clear sign that things had gone too far. Sidwell's ultimatum echoed in her mind like an unavoidable sentence. You don't have much time, Natalia. I need results. If not, I'll take care of it myself. She understood what those words meant. If she didn't follow the plan, Sidwell wouldn't just target Sonny, he would use Blaze as a pawn, either to send a message or to cause real harm. There was no doubt now, he had been watching her closely. He knew who mattered to her, who could be her weakness. And now, he was playing a game she couldn't easily escape. Natalia clenched her fist, her breath quickening. She could continue to obey Sidwell, play the spy by Sonny's side, gathering the information he needed to trap Sonny. But if she did, could she live with her conscience? If Sonny was hurt, if he was caught, or worse, killed, what then? But if she didn't comply, Sidwell would target Blaze. Either choice led to a dangerous path. The chaotic thoughts made her head spin. She needed an escape, a plan to break free from Sidwell's control without putting Sonny or Blaze at risk. But how could she outsmart someone like Sidwell? He was too smart, too ruthless, and he was always one step ahead. Looking down at the ring in her hand, Natalia felt a surge of anger rise within her. She had lived her life bound by secrets and mistakes from the past. But this time, she couldn't continue being a puppet in someone else's hands. She had to find a way to fight back against Sidwell. She had to warn Sonny. And most importantly, she had to protect Blaze. Natalia took a deep breath, clutching the ring in her palm as if holding onto a part of her own resolve. Sidwell's game had begun, but she wouldn't let him be the only one with control. She still had a chance to turn things around, and she wouldn't waste it. Natalia was faced with difficult choices, feeling as though the entire world was pushing her into a corner with no way out. Sidwell had issued an ultimatum, and Blaze's ring on the table was a clear warning that he wouldn't hesitate to target those she loved. She couldn't ignore the looming threat, but she also couldn't betray Sonny, the one who had trusted her even though he didn't know what was going on in the shadows. Any choice would lead to danger. If she sided with Sonny, she would put herself and Blaze at risk, but at the same time, it could create a new bond. A chance to turn the tide. Sonny wasn't one to be easily subdued, and if she told him the truth, they could find a way to deal with Sidwell together. But how could she make Sonny believe her? How could she ensure he wouldn't doubt that she had been hiding too many things? If she chose to follow Sidwell's orders, she would protect Blaze for a while, but it would mean trapping Sonny in a snare. Not only would this make her feel guilty, but it would also make her a part of Sidwell's plan. She couldn't let herself be manipulated forever, but she also couldn't act without a plan. She knew that once she made a decision, there would be no turning back. If she stood by Sonny, she would have to accept that Sidwell wouldn't let it go. He would redirect his attack, perhaps directly targeting Blaze, or worse, making her the target. But at the same time, if she found a way to warn Sonny and work with him to figure out a plan, she wouldn't be alone in facing Sidwell anymore. Natalia closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She felt clearer than ever. She couldn't let Sidwell control her anymore. Even if that meant facing risks, even if it meant dealing with unpredictable consequences, she knew that Sonny was the only one who could help her escape this trap. A new bond was forming, but would it lead to victory or disaster? That would depend on her next move. Sonny wasn't someone easily manipulated, and if Sidwell thought he could use Natalia as a pawn to take him down, he had underestimated his opponent. Sonny always knew how to turn a threat into an advantage, and this time was no different. He realized that Natalia could be his strongest weapon, a person standing between two worlds, trapped under Sidwell's control, but also someone who could be the bridge to help Sonny turn the tide. If she was willing to cooperate, she could help him expose Sidwell, trap him, and end the threat once and for all. But this was no longer just a strategic game. Things had become more personal than ever when Blaze was kidnapped. When her ring appeared on Natalia's table, it was no longer just a warning, it was a declaration of war. Sidwell had truly taken action, and now Sonny wasn't just facing a hidden enemy, he had to protect his loved ones from his cruel hands. As news of the kidnapping spread, Christina was the first to react strongly. She couldn't just stand by and watch Blaze be threatened without doing something. She loved Blaze, and she knew that time was not on their side. But what made everything even more dangerous was that Sidwell wasn't just targeting Blaze as a mere hostage. He was using her as leverage, forcing Sonny to choose between Blaze's life and his own safety. Christina wouldn't accept that. She wasn't the type to stand behind and wait for someone else to act. She immediately decided that she would save Blaze herself, but she knew she couldn't do it alone. She needed someone with experience, someone who knew how to fight in the shadows, someone who could help her get Blaze out safely without causing further damage. And no one was more suited for the job than Jason. Jason, despite his efforts to stay away from the criminal world, knew he couldn't turn his back when Christina asked for help. He understood the threat Sidwell could bring, and above all, he knew that if they didn't act immediately, Blaze might never come back. A rescue plan began to take shape, a dangerous, risky plan, but the only choice they had. Meanwhile, Natalia was trapped in her own spiral. She knew she couldn't continue being Sidwell's puppet forever, but she also knew that any wrong move could make him suspicious and strike first. Sonny had told her that he had a plan, that if she could keep following Sidwell's orders, she could gather important information and help him turn things around. But Natalia wasn't sure she could do that without revealing herself. Sidwell wasn't a fool. He had been watching her this whole time, and even a small mistake could make him realize she was no longer loyal to him. And then, everything started going in a direction no one could control. When Christina and Jason began to execute the rescue plan, they had no idea that Sidwell had his own plans in motion. He knew that Sonny wouldn't sit idle, and he had prepared for a counterattack. Blaze might just be part of a bigger plan, a trap set to lure Sonny and his people into a battle they couldn't win. At the same time, Natalia discovered something that horrified her, a piece of information that Sidwell had accidentally revealed when he thought she was still loyal. If what she heard was true, then the kidnapping of Blaze wasn't his only target. Sidwell was preparing a larger strike, not just against Sonny, but against the entire Port Charles. Now, Natalia didn't have time to hesitate anymore. If she didn't act immediately, everything would collapse in a way no one could predict. But could she warn Sonny without making Sidwell suspicious? Could Christina and Jason save Blaze before it was too late? The story was becoming crazier than ever. Relationships were being tested, new alliances were forming, and danger was engulfing Port Charles like an impending storm. Could Sonny use Natalia to overthrow Sidwell, or would she become the final pawn he needed to destroy him? Could Christina and Jason overcome it all to save Blaze, or would they fall into Sidwell's trap? Everything was just beginning, and the outcome remained an uncertain mystery. Blaze's return to General Hospital would send shockwaves across Port Charles, potentially changing the entire dynamic of the war between Sonny and Jens. After being kidnapped, everyone feared that Blaze might never come back, or if she did, she wouldn't be the same. But now, she was back, and this event was not just a simple emotional reunion. It was the beginning of a new storm, a tsunami pulling everyone involved into its wake. Blaze was no longer the carefree girl she once was. What she had gone through at Jen's hands had changed her in ways no one could predict. As she walked into General Hospital, no one could be sure she was really safe, or if her return held some secret. Had she really escaped Jen's control, or was this just part of his new plan? Would he let her leave without planting a hidden ace? Christina was the first to rush in when she heard Blaze had returned. She didn't care about anything else, all she wanted was to see Blaze, to touch her and make sure she was really here, still alive. But when she arrived, something wasn't right. Blaze seemed different, her eyes colder, her movements more cautious. She had been through something terrifying, and she wasn't ready to talk about it. Jason, who had helped rescue Blaze, couldn't ignore the feeling that something was wrong. He had seen her before they brought her back to Port Charles, and there were moments when she almost wanted to say something, but then stopped, as though she feared something bigger than her life. Sonny, who had always considered Blaze part of the family, didn't take long to realize something was off. He had been in this world long enough not to believe in things too good to be true. Blaze was back, but the question was she truly free? Or was she carrying a new threat? As for Natalia, who knew Jens better than anyone, she had a different worry. If Blaze really had been released, why would Jens let her go? He never did anything without a purpose. Natalia knew that Jens always had a backup plan, and Blaze's return could just be the beginning of a new nightmare. Things only got crazier when Blaze began recalling what had happened during her kidnapping. There were fragmented memories, pieces of a larger plot, and a name she couldn't forget, someone Jens was collaborating with, someone no one suspected. But the problem was, Blaze wasn't sure who she could trust, or even if she could say it without putting herself in danger. Port Charles was facing a new storm, a threat no one could predict. Blaze was back, but was this return a blessing, or would it lead to a new disaster? Could Sonny protect her, could Christina help her overcome her trauma, and could Jason uncover the truth before it was too late? A new crazy event was coming, and it could change everything.